Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Live and Learn. We are going to be exploring the nature of sensation. And we've got a number of ways in which to do this. I thought what I might do is, well, first of all, I'm going to tell you we're going to be doing a meditation a little bit into this. And the meditation is going to be a bit different. It's going to be slower paced and longer, with a lot of time to explore and discover on your own. It'll be led, we'll lead you through it, but we're going to give you a lot of space for exploration and discovery. But being that this topic's on the nature of sensation, let's talk a little bit about what sensation is, for starters, because we tend to think of sensation as kinesthetic, what we feel physically. And then maybe we explore from sensation to saying, well, maybe it could be what we experience emotionally. And those things are correct. But if we really look at it, then sensation is kinesthetic. I mean, not just kinesthetic, is auditory, what you hear. Sound is a sensation, sometimes a physical sensation translated, a physical sensation that resonates in the eardrum, that triggers the tiny little bones in your ear. Three of the tiniest bones in your body in your ear would be Inca, the stapes, Inca, the stapes, and can you believe it? I just drew a blank. Inca, the stapes, and there's a third one, malleolus. That's it, I think. No, I forgot. Anyway, someone, if you want to type that into the chat, the Inca, the stapes, and Google up that word. Let's find the third one, or it'll drive me crazy tonight. And these little bones, it's like a little hammer, a little mallet, a little thing, interplay with one another. And all of this creates movement, and it translates into sound. There's taste, the sensation of taste. We know this phrasing, we just don't always think of it right away. And vision is a sensation. Vision is an interpretation. So, as we play with sensations, we have to realize they are interpretations. And the funny thing is that the infinite, the energy, light, information that we experience as the Reconnective Healing Experience is infinite because it exists before the Reconnective Healing Experience. Thank you. Oh, there it is. The Inca, the stapes, and I was close. It's not malleolus, and I see it's malleus. Is that spelled correctly? Well, let's check. Anyway, we want to explore sensation and understand that sensation is something we experience and then identify it. We experience it. And then, is it that we identify it? Or maybe it's more that we experience it and then we give it an identity. We give it an identity. Sensation provokes the mind to give it an identity, to give it an emotion, to give it a story, to give it a visual interpretation. and we assign it meaning that it may not inherently have. Now, I shared this story the other day. When I was practicing as a chiropractic doctor, I had a particular machine, electromagnetic stimulation, electric muscle stimulator. And you would turn the dial and increase it, and it would cause the muscles to contract and let go. Contract for longer periods of times, or shorter periods of times for how you set it. And you could increase the intensity from 0 to, I don't remember, I think it went from 0 to 6 or something, maybe it went to 10. Whatever the case was, because it was a very different experience than people had before, the brain registered it as something unfamiliar, and unfamiliar led most people to interpret it as pain. And they would stop at a certain point when they said they hit their pain threshold. Because I always told them, let me know when you want me to stop it. And I'd let them get used to it for a while. And I said, why don't we raise it up just a little? And we turn it up. And they let it go gradually. But I would talk to them and I'd say, no. Is this a sensation that you know? Close your eyes, feel it for a moment. Is the sensation actually pain or something unfamiliar that you're afraid will hurt? And it turned out to be the second. So when we could let go and say, now, if we identify this as just an unusual sensation and let it increase in its intensity, what happens? And we found that people could turn it up to that full 6 or 10 level quite comfortably. A lot of the times we hold ourselves back because of an interpretation. The vibration, the awareness was neutral. The interpretation we gave it was different. It's, in a sense, it could be like light. Get a high intensity of light, and light is neutral, but we choose to allow the light to enlighten, or the light to blind. So we're going to explore sensation today. I'm going to share a little bit about, from the perspective of sensation, how I discovered the reconnective healing frequencies of energy, light, and information when they first showed up. Well, actually, that's the way I used to refer to it, when they first showed up.
What is a portal? It's a doorway to transformation.
It's an expansion of our online essentials, our level 1, an 8+ hour e-learning course.
The portal helps us discover our roadblocks that may be stopping us from living our fullest potential.
How does the portal help bring about these benefits? Easy to follow short segments with interactive exercises, information acquired not only through the mind, but through interaction with the frequencies themselves. It includes the 8 hours of the online essentials course.
2 key chapters, one on love and one on healing, from the new series, The Inner Compass. It brings the possibility for instant transformation, healing, and the evolution of each and every one of us.
In reality, there was a portal. There was an opening. All I can tell you is when I first noticed that they had reached or made themselves present to me, it wasn't that the sensations suddenly appeared. It's that I allowed myself to cognizantly recognize them in many different ways. I remember beginning. I remember having adjusted a patient and allowing my hands to come off of that patient and noticing the sensation. And I noticed that as I moved my hand, it followed me. Now, I considered myself following it because that's the way I thought of. Now, how could this energy, light, and information have a personality? Because to me, it would take a personality that would want to follow. So I found that I could move out and follow where it was heading, because I didn't realize that in a sense it was following me. It was really me just becoming aware of it, recognizing, I should say, cognizantly this sensation, recognizing as it was following me. And as I played with that was when I started to see changes. I started to see registers in the other person. I started to notice things in myself. So the nature of this sensation was something that I could find. It was a kinesthetic sensation, what we often think of right away as that. But then what happened? Then what expanded or showed up to me from me was the visual, the sensation of vision, my visual sensation as I played. I saw what was happening in the other person. Yes. I also found enhanced clarity, brightness of colors, new colors appearing. And yet the vibration was always there. It was my recognition that was expanding. I felt sensation in my ear. I felt an opening. I felt a rippling, an expansion, a different way that I heard. This is from allowing myself to observe. I was really simply allowing myself to be in observation. And then came taste. Sometimes the vibration that went on, my brain interpreted as something metallic or something otherwise. And sometimes there was a change in the air. Sometimes it was what I interpreted as a fragrance. All of this was interpretation. Again, the way that sensation provokes the mind leads us to give an interpretation, an identity, an emotion, a visual, a story, sometimes through the senses, the nature of sensation. And then we tend to, what's the word? Give it meaning. Really, a lot of what we give it tends to lead us somewhere into story. And really what we want to do is we want to return to our identity. Recognize it, observe it, and be in our own identity. Be in the self, the I am that allows for awareness and allows us maybe to recognize more about ourselves, to explore, to have the experience, but not necessarily to assign it meaning. Have the experience, but not assign it meaning. The experience is the finite. And yet, we take some of that finite and find that it follows us through our lives. And the more we allow ourselves to be in a cognizant recognition or awareness of it, the more we find, you could call it, well, let's just call it our greater recognition of I am. So what I'd love to do is explore some of this with you via the concept of meditation. A meditation of exploration. An experience of playing and interacting with these frequencies of energy, life, energy, light, and information. Witness how it exists and how we can simply receive it and have the experience where we interpret and where we can let go of interpretation. So I'm going to suggest that you gently allow your eyes to close. Realize that we will be in space, and afterwards, I'd love some of you to share, if you'd like, what this brought to you. I'm not here to assign it meaning. None of us are. Because there really is not meaning to it. Do you think that when I first noticed the energy, light, and information was when it first appeared? A lot of what we do is we touch on this, we have these experiences, and we look to bring it further. Where can I go next? Where can I go next? Where can I go next? We always want to take it further. We always want to take it beyond. Because we're looking for the beyond to come after. What if the beyond came first before we started to think of it as what's next, what's next? What if there was, as Jillian and I like to refer to it, the before beyond, kind of a hyphenated, the before beyond? That isness. What is that before beyond? Maybe we're looking to return to the before beyond, to be in that state of is. Maybe that's what we're really looking at. Maybe that's what we're really here to explore. The before, beyond. Maybe what we interpret it as and turn it into is taking us away from where we think we want to go. It's allowing us ultimately to experience. It's allowing us to have The Reconnective Healing Experience, which is a touch, an experience of the before beyond. But we exist as the is. It is the is. Energy, light, and information is God, is love, is the intelligence of the universe, and therefore, by whatever name we call it, it is infinite. And we become so excited, as well we should, in touching that infinite, in experiencing that infinite, the experience of the infinite. So my suggestion is allow your eyes to gently close. Let's simply sit in this silence, in this stillness, in this experience of is. Allow yourself to become aware of, cognizantly aware of a sensation. First, notice any sensation, and let's be with that for a moment. Observe what is happening with your cognizance of that sensation. Does it remain the same? Does it change? Expand? Increase? Intensify? How does it vary? How does it contrast to this silence, this stillness? The vibration, the resonance is here. Let's bring our attention to it. Bring your attention to your inner ear. How does the sensation appear for you? Do you feel the malleus, the incus, the stapes, those tiny little bones vibrating? Like a hammer and an anvil and a stirrup. Tiny, tiny, tiny. pressure. Observe, notice if there's a change in pressure. Notice if it's in both ears. Notice if it's in one. And how does that affect the sound? Or the ambient sound? And without thinking about it, you are dancing with the interplay between the kinesthetic sensation and the auditory sensation. Observe the frequencies of energy, light, and information as they dance throughout your body. Experience them playing in your tongue. Notice where you observe them playing next. find 2 new places where you can bring your attention to where these frequencies are playing. They've been playing there long before now. We think of sensations as something we're equipped with to help us take in the world around us. And yet we discover that that is merely the beginning. The vibration, the resonance, the energy, light, and information. Allow it to present itself to you visually, keeping your eyes closed. What does pure sensation mean to you? Consider pure sensation and allow yourself to notice the experience at the concept of pure sensation. allows you now. They say that perception occurs in 5 stages. Stimulation, that could be the vibration, the frequency, the resonance. Second stage being organization, how it seems to manifest or show up to us, to our attention. The third stage is interpretation or evaluation. For many of us, we think of that as the first stage. Interpretation and evaluation is the application of the mind. The fourth and fifth stages are memory and recall. But we are playing with pure sensation. And in this pure sensation, it is pre those stages. In this pure sensation, it is before the interpretation, the evaluation, the memory, the recall. It is before we assign meaning. So play in that pure sensation and experience it without giving it an identity. An emotion, a story, allow yourself to be in that perception, to be in that sensation. And take the next 60 seconds or so and see if you can return to your identity. Actually, beyond your identity. Instead, be in the before, beyond, where there is not even identity. Return to the before, beyond, and when you're ready, gently allow your eyes to open. Hello. So, in this exploration, this investigation of the pure nature of being, that's playing in your isness, who would like to share a few things? You can type them into the chat, or we'll take a couple of minutes for a few brief shares if you'd like to raise your hands. And Cecilia can call on a few of the people with hands raised.
I don't see any hands raised at this moment. I think people are still rejoining.
Take your time, breathe and be.
I see breathing. All right. Well, I know that there are 3 people who are ready to share, our life leaders. Would we like to go to them?
That's good. And if you're not talking, please check that you're muted because I hear some conversation in the background.
Okay. All right. At this time, I would love to introduce our life leaders for today. Jennifer Lynn Venegas, Alina Kopek, and Justin Victor. We would love to hear from you. So give me one moment while I bring you all forward.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Jennifer, thank you, Dr. Eric, for the amazing meditation. It was really, the wording of it was so simplistic in itself, but I was able to dive down so much deeper than sensation. And that's a fantastic way to get into everything. So, where did you guys go with this? I want to know.
So I'm still enjoying, I'm still quiet.
I felt the same way, Alina.
Mhm.
Quiet and joyful. How do you really say anything about it without interpreting? I don't know. I'm wondering how the word bliss was coming to mind, but may just be an interpretation.
So this remembers me at the first experience in the Reconnective Healing Frequencies at the training program, as I knew nothing, and I was so excited about sensation that I didn't have a need to explain it. I just enjoy it. And after this, I put a lot of question indeed. But if I would describe it, I would describe as a dance of ease. So this is coming now in my awareness. So a dance of ease where I'm losing myself to be this.
Yes, just being. And I mean, wow, I feel like the odd one out now because my body was sending me so many sensations there. I was just I was receiving everything. And something came to me during that when Dr. Eric was talking about sensation and how we view it. And so for me, I see it, kind of how we project ourselves into this space as our essence, like as a physical manifestation. What came to me in that moment is that because of the fleeting and kind of transitory nature that emotions tend to be rooted in, expectation, societal norms, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter the scale. But for me, the sensation is useful, but it also is something that is filtered through an experience in the body. And there's so much going on. It's just loaded with information that may be taking us down the right road or sending us down a dark path that is rooted in pain. And for me, when I see pain, I appreciate it now. I have so much gratitude for everything, all the pain. But how I view pain now is the way I see it is perception, assimilating, illusion, and neglect. That's how I define pain. And, the oneness really comes into play here because when you think about it, we're not meant to be alone. So when you have that illusion in place and neglect, that really, it brings out the pain and you get people, like there's a story about hypochondriacs, and they have symptoms, but there's nothing wrong with them. And I don't know if you knew this, but below your ribs is an area called the hypochondriac region. Hypo means below, ribs or chondriac means your ribs. So for example, when you go back to Hippocrates in the root of Western medicine, he had people coming to him and they had these symptoms, but there wasn't anything wrong. There was an arrestment of breath beneath the ribs, and he would palpate, which isn't done so much anymore, and give them massages to direct at it. Breath is huge in really getting into sensation. And for the longest time for me in my yoga practice, they would say breathe into an area to feel that stretch. How do you breathe into an area? Breathe into your arm, your back, whatever. But really, I feel that is a portal, at least for me, into sensation and reconciling pain with how I manifest in this space.
Wow. I love that you brought up the idea of breath because as you were saying that, I was thinking about how during Dr. Eric's meditation, I didn't notice my breathing at all. actually. It was like it wasn't even there, but obviously I was breathing or else I wouldn't still be here with you. So I don't know. It's kind of amazing how when you attempt to just be, sometimes you don't focus on your breath. But breath can also bring you into just being. I don't know. That's what I was just thinking about. What about you, Alina?
I don't think about breathing in the reconnective healing somehow. So for me, it's like it's stillness, so nothing moves. And sometimes, suddenly, everything is moving, but I somehow am this moving and I'm not this moving. It's hard to explain in words. It's maybe this was what Dr. Eric and Jillian are saying before everything is coming here. So it's just an ease that is. So in the reconnective healing frequencies, I lost myself. So I don't have any need to define. I don't, it's not feeling, no a feeling anymore. So this is just is. So the pain, I don't even think about pain, because pain is something what we define to be. So when I don't define, when I don't put a label, it's only a sensation. And this sensation is a part of the big picture that just is, you know? So it's about being aware of you, of I. There is no you, it's only an I. In everything that is, the is.
Yeah, and what is the is? I mean, to ask yourself that question, it's like asking, who am I? Some people go through their lives, they never ask themselves that question. I think that's such a tragedy. You know, if you can't ask yourself that question and even say, I don't know, that's still an answer. So for me, I find my is in the oneness. And talking about ease, I mean, man, that's a really tough concept for people. But dis-ease, wow, we can relate to that on every level. There's a pill, drug, operation, procedure for everything out there. But, you know, that's where the symptoms lie. And so, you know, when you think about it, for example, being in oneness, I was reading about how, you know, when you're isolated, for example, what's going on right now, uh, social distancing, I think it's better physical distancing. When we social distance, okay, now we have a whole lot of other issues that are going to be later down the road, kind of like how the symptoms that we have, they didn't just come there overnight, they've been building up. So when we distance ourselves, when we stray away from that oneness, you know, forget about the dangers of sitting. And you know, sitting's the new smoking. How about being alone? I mean, it doesn't have to be like an intimate relationship, marriage, whatever, one-on-one. It can be a commitment, a passion, but I think it needs to be investigated because it's so underappreciated and just so short of being utilized to a really profound extent that society is dissolving its oneness in itself. And I feel that, you know, we're at a great opportunity right now with the world to investigate this further. And I think it's important that we do so.
Yes, this is the suddenly I am. Suddenly I am. Suddenly I am. In this moment of being, it's just I. So the symptoms, investigation, and everything, it's maybe helpful. But why should I choose this is when I can choose now the is? And I don't have to do anything in being the Reconnective Healing Experience. And it's suddenly here. I don't have to search for it. I don't have to follow a receipt. I don't have to describe it. I don't have to explain it. It's just now. Okay? It's now. Always now.
Alina,
Is. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I love listening to you and Justin. You on that keyword now, I noticed that there might be other attendees with hands raised. I noticed before our conversation started too, someone was asking how to raise their hand. I wonder if we should let Cecilia call
Thank
people.
you. I'm going to keep you all spotlighted. Thank you so much. And yes,
Love
Hans,
you, Lena. Sorry.
Love you, Jennifer. Thank you.
Unmute. Hans, would you like to come forward and ask your question? Can you unmute?
No, okay. I think my question was already answered. Okay. Actually, it was related to, as Alina recently said, regarding the present moment. Yeah, or the power of now. Okay. So, and that was mainly my inquiry, how to incorporate or to merge the present moment in during these sensations, during this process. Okay. Okay, that's it. So, no.
Thank you, Hans.
Thank you, Hans.
Thank you. All right.
Was Robin's hand still up, or did she put it down?
Robin's hand is down. Robin, did you still have your question? Would you like to unmute? She's gone. She's not in the room any longer. All right. So I want to thank our Eric and our life leaders. It's just been so beautiful and insightful. And we just thank you all for joining us.